America, sweet America. You know, God done shed his grace on thee. He crowned thy good. Saving brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
God shed his grace on thee. God, we need you to continue to shed your grace on America, to grant America unmerited favor, and we need it for all of America. And crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. To crown someone is to bestow an honor upon them. So America's good is rewarded with the honor of brotherhood. That is America's reward. But which America? See, because America has two faces, created equally and good, because God said all he created was good. But there is a part of the American clan who only embrace certain brothers, whose connection is sewn with the thread of a metaphorical whitehood. And even if you don't rally to their way of thinking, in this America, if the car you drive is profiled and pulled over, once they realize that your skin lacks zero melanin, there's a slowdown of their adrenaline. And no matter you actually broke a traffic law, you're sent on your way because your skin's not brown. Guns probably won't be drawn while you plead and pray for your life. Forehead to gravel, face down.
When I was I was maybe 18, 19. I was home for the summer, and I was driving in Aventura. It's like a very white city, like 20 minutes north of Miami. And I made an illegal turn out of a Walgreens, which I didn't know I couldn't turn left. Like the sign was way back, and I'm not from there, so I didn't even know. And I made the turn. The streets were empty. It was like 11 o'clock at night. I was with a friend in the car with me, and and then all of a sudden a cop pulls me over, and I was like, oh shit, like what did I do? And he comes over to the car. Meanwhile, my car at the time was this black pickup truck with tinted windows. It had shiny rims, and I was playing loud music in my car, so there was bass on it. He pulled me over. And you couldn't see what I looked like when you pulled me over. And when he came out with his hand on his gun, and I was like, what? What did I do? And when I rolled down the window, the tinted windows, he was like, oh, he actually said, oh, I didn't expect to see you.
Wow.
Ooh.
Yep.
And didn't give me a ticket, didn't give me anything, but he actually said that. And he was like, well, do you know, why did you make this turn? Blah, blah. I'm like, well, I'm not from here. I didn't realize. Would you not read the sign? I'm like, no, I didn't even see the sign. I'm sorry.
Right.
And it was like, okay, just be safe and be on your way, he said. But when I visibly rolled down the window, he went, oh, like, oh.
America, America, God mend thine every flaw, confirm thy soul in self-control, thy liberty in law. The word confirm means to strengthen. The word self-control means restraint exercised over one's impulses. The word liberty means the power to do as one pleases. The word law means rule of conduct or action prescribed. So, when we break down the verse that we often don't hear, America, America, God mend thine every flaw, confirm thy soul in self-control, thy liberty in law. What we're saying is America. We're praying God mend your flaws. America, America, strengthen your restraint over your impulses and emotions and your power to do as you please. We're saying America, America, remember, there still has to be order and freedom even when enforcing the law. But to which America does that apply?
Hey, what's up, everybody? So one of the times that I've experienced racism was back in 2006 when I was actually profiled while driving from Baltimore County into Baltimore City. So I had driven into Baltimore City on my lunch break because I wanted some really good food that day. By the time I ended up getting into the city, I was literally at Park Heights Avenue and Falstaff Road, where Northwestern High School is, and 4 county cops had followed me from the county into the city, and they pulled me over right there. So they get out, guns blazing, telling me not to move. One ends up pulling me out of the car, throwing me up against the trunk in the back, and patting me down. When I ended up giving them my license and my registration, one of them actually told me that it appeared my registration was coming up as stolen. So my car was looking like it was a stolen vehicle based on what Baltimore City Police Department was reporting. Now, originally, I'm from Baltimore City, but at that time, I was living and working in Baltimore County. So I was a little bit confused as to what was going on. In the midst of that whole situation, so after I give them my license, after I give them my registration, they realize that I'm the registered owner, the legal owner. One of the cops actually said, "We're not just pulling you over because you're a black guy in an Acura." Wow. Yeah. So in that scenario, I ended up getting all of their badge numbers because, like I told you, it was 4 cops who followed me into the city. But then when they actually pulled me over, more cops began to show up. So at the end of the whole pullover situation, it was about 8 county cop cars with 8 county cops. So once I ended up obtaining the badge numbers for all of the officers involved, I actually didn't file a complaint or didn't follow up, simply for 3 reasons. Number one, although they came at me with their guns out and they could have shot me, they could have killed me, in that moment, I was just grateful and thankful that they did not shoot me or did not kill me. Number two, I was more so embarrassed by the whole situation. I wasn't really at a loss at that point, maybe a loss of time for trying to straighten it out with them at that time. But again, it was more so embarrassment on my part. And the third reason was because I didn't really feel like anything would change. So here we are in 2020. My situation happened in 2006. This is just one of a few, but this situation happened in 2006. Here we are in 2020. Still, the issue of police reform is one of the big issues that we're dealing with these days. When I reached out to Baltimore City Police Department after the fact, of course, they had no idea what I was talking about. So then I got irritated all over again and realized that I probably should have filed a complaint or should have did more follow-up on that. It's one of those moments that just makes you wonder, like, why did this even happen to begin? Unfortunately, racism does exist for people of color. Unfortunately, we are, at times, can be made to feel a particular way based on our skin color. It's very unfortunate, and it does happen.
When I first experienced racism, I believe I was in elementary school. One of my good friends was mixed. You know, he had curly hair and actually a lot like my daughter's complexion. So he was like really, really light. Sometimes he could pass for white. And you know, we lived in a neighborhood where many people didn't have pools and stuff like this, but his parents had a membership to a swim club, actually, not too far from where we live now. And he invited me to go one day. And, I can't really remember how old I was, maybe around 8, 9, maybe probably no more than 10 because it was elementary. And, so he asked if I wanted to go, and of course, I love to swim, so I wanted to go. And so his mom was white. His dad was black. So his mom, took us up to the swim club. And, as a kid, you didn't really think much of it. And his mom had to come back and tell us that we couldn't swim. And, just growing up, my father raised us, 2 young black boys. I have a brother. And my pops was a cop, so he instilled in us good values and all, but he also told us about his growing up in the South, and told us about racism. So it was maybe in the back of my mind, but to experience for myself, the first time was at that pool when I got denied being able to swim. I didn't understand it at that time. But as I got a little bit older, I reflected back at that moment and realized exactly what that was. And I guess for my friend's mom, it was something that she couldn't necessarily explain to me, or maybe not even wanting to at that time, to explain it to a little 8 or 9-year-old kid that I can't swim in the club which she belonged. And then, I have so many stories about racism because I'm a construction worker, and now I'm a general contractor. But, growing up just in the construction field, most of my jobs I was only black. I'm just try to make it brief. A couple stories I guess I'll share. One story in particular that's stuck out to me is when I first started working at this company that really wanted me to work for them. They paid good. They gave me my own vehicle, Home Depot card, Lowe's card, everything. And so I had a job in Virginia. The job was relatively easy. Good pay. I loved it. So I had to work with a coworker this particular day. This coworker was an older white male, and whom I thought was okay. I thought he was cool or whatever. But come to find out this day, I would see the real, true person for whatever reason. I don't know. But anyway, try to make a long story short, we was at a customer's house, and we was leaving, and I saw that the customer had a piano, and I was like, "Oh, that's a nice piano that you have." And she said, "Oh yeah, I sit around and when my granddaughter come around and we play and we sing and all of that." I said, "Oh, that's cool. That's really nice." So for whatever reason, this white boy wanted to say, well, Mike and his family used to dance around the piano player and sing songs too, hanging on the end of a rope. So, needless to say, this white woman turned very red. I never seen anybody turn this red, and she was speechless. And I was really heavily, into the church at that time, and I was really high in the spirit, and I was really studying a whole lot at this time. So it had to be the enemy. And so I kindly looked at this white woman, and I told her, I said, "Well, some of us will never get it, and some of us is just very ignorant." And so I told her, I said, "It's okay, you have a good day." And so I proceeded to leave this lady's house. And, I kept my cool. People that know me know I'll keep my cool. I'm just a mellow type of dude. But I didn't know that this was going to affect me and bother me so bad. And so I proceeded to my van. And I was in Virginia, so I said I was going to make my way home. I didn't even get like a block or two. And I just got really mad. I turned that vehicle around. And I remember saying, "I'm going to jail today." And because I had it up to here, and that's where I was going. I was tired. I was done. I said, somebody's going to learn today. And pulled back up to this lady's house. I remember, I can still picture what this lady's house looked like. Proceeded to get out of my truck, and it had to be nothing but the grace of God. And it was like a force that just set my little butt down and reminded me of where I came from. And, the Lord said, He will make gifts. He will make room for your gifts. And so I loved the particular job that I was at. And I know how I got that job. So the Lord just helped me out of that situation. So like I told you, I got a lot of stories. So another particular time, try to make this brief, it was a honeymoon, with my beautiful wife that I have now. We was in Florida. Nobody's out in the street. Actually, my wife, she wasn't feeling a little well, but we decided to go to the movies and make the best of it. Went to the honeymoon. Went to the movies during our honeymoon. Pretty much had the whole theater to ourselves. So leaving the theater, it's like we're in Naples, Florida, so it's mostly white folks that live around there. Very rich place or whatever. But we leaving. I had a nice vehicle. I was in my pop's vehicle or whatever, so we kind of fit in. But we was black, so. We leaving, nobody on the streets. I see this cop coming towards us. Now he's on the opposite side. So I just happened to turn and glance over at his direction, and it's like one of those hidden rules with black people, is like you don't look at a cop. because what did he do? Of course, he turned around. So he turned around. He gets behind me. Like I said, nobody out on the streets. I know my tags are good. I know, I'm good to go. Even got, police little stickers on the vehicle. So, he decides to pull me over. I make a turn, and I pull over to the side. So the cop comes up and says, I said, how you doing, officer? And he said, can I help you? He's like, you know why I pulled you over? I said, actually, I don't know why you pulled me over. He said, I made a wide right turn. And so I hesitated, just like I just did now. I paused. I said, what exactly is a wide right turn? He said, oh, you pulled into the second lane. I said, to be honest with you, officer, I never knew that was against the law. And before he proceeded to go get my license and registration or whatever, I just looked at him dead in his face. I said, is that the best you could do? I said, really? And he just started laughing because he knew that was the dumbest thing that he ever said to me. Even though that was a law, here it is, we out minding our business in Naples, Florida, two young black people with a nice vehicle, and a white cop pulls us over for me making a wide right turn. And see, cops can't just pull you over for anything, so that's why he got behind me, waited for me to do something illegal, which that's all he could come up with. So, yes, that's racism. To me, yes, that's racial profiling. So, and I guess one more story I will share, which kind of fits into the platform that we're talking about right now and the climate that we're in. One particular day, this was a time I was home. I was just coming home. I was coming home early from work, which at this point I had my own business. So, I had a good day, got off early, was coming home. I had my work truck, had my work clothes on. I had my work clothes, my work hat, some boots and some shorts. Again, driving while black, don't you dare look at an officer. This time I didn't really care because I was in front of my house, just pulling up. Here comes a white lady cop coming down the street. I happen to glance over to my left. We make eye contact. Mind you, I'm right in front of my house and I'm parked. So she does a U-turn. Come behind me. Now, at this time, I didn't know my wife just left with the kids, thank God. And so she's coming behind me. And I'm at this particular time, I'm out of my truck, just grabbing a few things to go in the house. And she comes up behind me and say, what you got in your truck? So of course, that's her first words. I said, excuse me? She said, what do you got in your truck? I said, well, it doesn't matter what I have in my truck. And so she said, you live here? I said, yeah, I live here. Well, let me see what's in your truck. I said, I ain't got to show you what's in my truck. And so right then and there, now I'm starting to see how things pan out with the police officers. Because, and white people say, well, why do you just comply? Why do you whatever? Because I'm in front of my house, my business truck, my business clothes, and she's questioning me for what? So she decides to say, well, I saw you put a TV in there. So now, I said, oh. I said, are you sure? Why don't you let me see? I said, I ain't gotta let you see shit. So now I'm getting pissed. Yes. And so she said, why don't you just let me see? I said, I don't have to let you see. I said, do I fit the description? Did the guy have work clothes on? Did he have shorts on? Did he have boots on? And so by this time, here come Baltimore County Finance just come flying around the corner. Now, I didn't really think nothing of it at this point prior to that, but then the shit got real, as they say. So here comes like 4 cops flying around the corner, stop in the middle of the street, sirens flashing. 1 gets out on my left, 2 gets out on my right. Everybody's holding guns. And now I'm like really angry. I don't really care about what's going on, but now that moment I see how people can get shot. Because I was really heated and I was really pissed off at them approaching me and questioning me about something that damn sure didn't steal. And you're looking at a black man that has never been arrested. never been in jail, never served time, never sold drugs, never done drugs, you know. And so here it is, you know, I'm under that, you know, quote unquote, you know, hoodlum, that it was easy for her to just accuse me. And so, you know, like I said before, my pops was a cop, so I do know that, you know, I didn't have to let them see anything in my vehicle or whatever, but I do understand that they were making life miserable, because they could have just took me downtown. I mean, took me to the county jail and all that other stuff. So one guy, you know, playing good cop, he said, "Oh, come on, you know, why don't you just let her see it now, you know, just, you know, and it's all to be over or whatever, blah, blah, blah." And so at that time, I thought I was going to, you know, file a report or whatever, but wind up, you know, make a long story short, I didn't file a report, but I still remember what this dumb cop chick looked like. So, and once I opened my vehicle, see, you happy? Nothing in there but tools. But what really pissed me off, everybody left, nobody apologized, nobody said shit to me. So that's my experience.
See, when you live in the America whose face seems to smile on you and you're free to live in liberty, you're quick to defend that America, forgetting or unwilling to acknowledge that for some of us, America has two faces. The author of this song, a white woman named Catherine Lee Bates, understood this. She grew up in one America, but she became an activist for the other. She was a social activist interested in the struggles of women, workers, people of color, tenement residents, immigrants, and poor people. She saw both faces of America, and she didn't denounce or downplay or give excuses for the other America just because she had lived in the good one. And I believe it was because she saw the two radically different faces of America that she wrote out what was really her prayer for America as a whole, that God bring both Americas together until they become one face of all America with the same freedoms and liberties and respect. So before you knock down someone who has experienced America differently than you, understand that in order for those who are here now and the generations to come after us to live in the America that you do, we need your voice as a help, not a hindrance.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dana MacDonald, and I just want to thank you for giving me an opportunity to tell a little bit about my story and my background. I am 48 years old, so my childhood is the 70s and 80s. I grew up in a small town in central New York called Baldwinsville. It's actually a village of Baldwinsville. That's how small it is. But I grew up there. My father and mother were both present in my life, in the household. I had a two-parent household. My dad had a great job working for Miller Brewing. My mom had a great job when I was a child working at Social Security. Later had another couple of jobs and then ended up working for the power company in the area, Niagara Mohawk. My dad purchased a home for the family at a very young age. I think I was 7 when my parents became homeowners. So my earliest memories of childhood are of my parents being homeowners. So I guess you could say that, outside looking in, we were living the American dream. I was living the American dream as a child. But what needs to be added as an element to my childhood is that Baldwinsville had very little diversity, very little African Americans in the area, in that town at the time when I was growing up. Just to kind of put it in perspective, my graduating class, my senior year of high school, had 350 students, and we had less than 10 African American male and or females in our class. So there was no diversity in my school growing up, whether it was elementary school, middle school, or high school. So although I had a great childhood, I have childhood friends that have been lifelong friends to this day. Even though I still go back to my hometown on a yearly basis to hang out with friends and family and just kind of reminisce over the good old days or whatever the case may be, I am having to have conversations with my friends and let them know that our experiences were not the same growing up. I apologize to them that I did not let them know at the time, but our experiences were not the same. We went to the same schools, grew up in the same neighborhoods, played on the same teams, went to the same dances and the same parties, but our experiences were not the same. I've dealt with racism my entire life. Sometimes it was absolutely blatant, and other times it was underlying, and there was an energy that was projected onto me from other people that I knew had nothing to do with who I was, but had everything to do with the color of my skin. And I had to deal with that for many, many years in silence. And oftentimes I did not tell my Caucasian friends because I did not want them to have to defend me, and I did not want them to feel sorry or pity for me. So I, like many others, suffered in silence and never said a word, and smiled and grinned when around people and in public and at public places. And when awkward situations came about, I made sure everybody else felt good while I inside felt terrible. Things such as even, being told racist jokes and feeling as though you have to laugh so that everybody else around you feels comfortable. That's a terrible feeling. That's something that will never go away in regards to me and how I feel about my past. So although I love my hometown, and although I have plenty of friends that I grew up with that I love dearly, and I know they love me unconditionally, it does not hide the fact or dismiss the fact that I had to deal with this thing called racism for all of my life. So if you're watching this video and you're not African American, male or female, I just wanted you to understand that you might have good friends that are black, and they probably love you and you love them. But please understand that every day that they wake up in this country, their experience here is different than your experience. And even though you don't have to understand that, we ask you that you please sympathize with that, and that you attempt to help us change that so that our children can live a better life, have more opportunities, and actually live in a country where liberty and justice is for all. Because in 2020, that is not the case, and it's going to take all of us to change that. And I hope that you will lock arms with me and everyone else that is against racism and make that change. Thank you, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Take care, and God bless.
And you ought to love him for it, because he crowned not good. He told me he would save his brotherhood.